Hey, what's up guys? We're here with another deck profile, and who are we here with?
My name is Iari Melcher. I'm a California player. I'm known as Rockstar on the forums and Best Coast Noob on UFS Ultra and Discord. So,
Okay, where are we at?
where are we at? Oh, dude, we are at the grand opening of Legendary Wolf Games storefront in I don't know what mall, but it's in Omaha, Nebraska.
It'll be at the Oakview Mall.
Yeah, okay, there you go. And it's great. This place looks amazing. Make sure you get a screenshot or like a 360 later.
Will do. So who are we playing today?
Well, for the event today, I'm actually playing a Fei Long deck, but apparently the deck that people want to hear about is my Satoshi deck.
What does he do for people at home that don't know?
Satoshi's amazing. Satoshi is a 7-hand-sized character, meaning that at the start of his turn, he always draws up to his hand size. So he always starts with 7 cards in hand. His vitality, or his life gauge, or life bar as I like to put it, he can take 19 points of damage before dying. He is air, fire, or void symbols, and those are reflective in his abilities. As a form, once per turn, he can say that his next weapon attack that he plays gets +3 speed, and that after it resolves, it gets discarded from the card pool, and then he gets to draw an extra card, so it pretty much replaces itself.
So essentially he's a cheeky 8-hander.
Yeah, he's kind of like an 8-hand sizer just by himself. He reminds me of the Champ Foundation that Dave Wagner or Sketch on the forums made, called Last Ditch Gamble. Did pretty much the same thing. He's like Last Ditch on a stick. His second enhance, which is reflective of his void ability, is on his turn. If he has momentum, he can discard one of them to force his opponent to discard however many cards they're holding in their hand at that moment, down to 2. And this is really solid against a Woodman, solid against any characters that like to draw off turn, like maybe Templar or anything like that. So.
Yep, okay. So why'd you play it? You want to get in the deck profile so we can see why?
Oh, sure. What I love about him is that, yeah, he's an 8-hand sizer every turn. He's fast, he's really good tempo. He's got some really cool defensive tricks, and we'll start with the actions. Runs 3 Templars. I like the white bordered ones because I got my boy Reese on there. Templar's pretty self-explanatory. You block with it, you get to draw 2 cards, you get to heal 2 vitality. It's pretty good. It used to have Breaker. This has been errated, so this is actually non-existent.
Why not 4?
I'm sorry, why not 4? That's a great question. I mean, I've experimented with that before, but sometimes I just draw it and it's an extra card in hand that I don't necessarily need. Plus, he's going to be drawing a ton of cards, which we'll show you in a bit. So chances are 3 is enough. I'll see it when I need it.
Okay.
Cool. We'll move that to the side. The other action here, we have 2 dodges. This is like break glass just in case stuff happens and goes horribly, horribly wrong. Like, let's say I'm facing down a Woodman's Leaf Shield and we're all in desperation and it's coming at me for like 13 damage and like 13 speed, I can't block it. I might be able to do that. And so this, you just lose half the vitality as a cost, you make the check, and then you don't take actual damage, and I get to take a foundation, preferably one that's still open, and hopefully slow the roll, add it back to the hand.
It's a pretty strong card.
I like it. I've actually thought about maybe running a 3rd in the side.
It's my favorite card.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Precisely because this is defensive. All right. I run 2 green colored cards, assets, the yellow scarf. These things are really great. I've actually used the enhance on it before, where you can destroy it and I can take any ranged attack card that I have in hand and I can play it as if it had a +0 mid block. This is really great because I do have one ranged attack that doesn't have a block at all. So in a pinch, if I absolutely need to, I can make it have a +0 mid.
Sounds pretty strong.
But the real reason why you do it is because it synergizes with Satoshi's form. Anytime the react is I commit this after a card has been discarded, an attack card has been discarded from my card pool, I draw an extra card. So then it turns Satoshi from being an 8-hand sizer into a 9-hand sizer.
It's even better.
Yes. All right, here we go. The meat of the deck, the attacks. This one was the the easy change. This deck I piloted at last year's Worlds 2017, and my team, I think we finished 12th. We just missed top 8, but my own personal record was I went 5-1 with Satoshi running Sturmoff. Well, Sturmoff got banned, and we had to find a replacement, and lo and behold, Capcom Platinum decided to bless me with the Shadow Blade Shuriken, which is so amazing because this card itself is a 5/5 and it has flash, which gets around about maybe 80 to 90% of defense options, which are located in the staging area because they can't play it as an enhance. It'll be an 8 speed when I call Satoshi's form, and it'll discard itself from the card pool. So not only will it most likely deal 5 damage, but when it discards itself from the card pool, it leaves the card pool during the combat phase, so I get to draw a card. Now, so I draw from that, I'll resolve from Satoshi's form, I'm a 9-hand sizer. If I have a yellow scarf, I also get to react to it discarding, and all of a sudden I'm a 10-hand sizer. I've just drawn 3 cards. And usually, forming with Satoshi on the first turn, or as your first form, is usually the right play, because then you get to see the most options during that entire turn, and you can craft whatever you're going to be doing. So I love this card. This card's amazing.
Sounds pretty cool.
+1 mid block is just sweet.
Yeah, that's always amazing.
And this is really what the Air Satoshi deck is known for, this next attack. It's called Cannonade, Cannonade, however you want to pronounce it. It's just really amazing. This is a Heidi attack from the Blood Omen. It comes in great statted, another 5 speed for 5 damage, high zone. And the cool thing about this is that it will pick another copy of itself from the discard pile, and if it deals damage. So what you can do with this, if you have something maybe on turn 1 or turn 2, you can make this an 8 speed high for 5, actually for 7, because it also pluses its own damage, and start chaining. And that's the real beauty about Cannonade. I actually call this deck my Ninja Artillery deck, because that's actually the primary form of finishing somebody off. So, Cannonade. Next up. Originally at a 4 of, I moved this back to a 3 of after Shadowblade Shuriken was released, because it does the same thing as Shadowblade Shuriken, and it's a 3 high for 6. You can follow it up after somebody decides to try to block, or does successfully block a Cannonade, usually with a 2 or 3, and when they do, you can use Sagaki's Enhance to discard that block from their card pool, and it will get plus X speed and plus X damage, which will be the block modifier that you just discarded. Okay? The other great thing is that if you check a 4, you get to draw a card. So if another great play is if you have this, it's like Shadowblade Shuriken. You have like 7 copies of Shadowblade Shuriken, because if you form with Satoshi, it already come into 6 high for 6. You check for the 4, grab a card. You're drawing another 3 cards. So again, you're a 10-hand sizer at the start. Next 3. Iron Knuckle. It's just great. Gets around all the actions. It gets around Templar, gets around Prepare
all
to
the
Fight.
really strong cards, basically.
Yeah, all the strong cards
that stop you.
And it's going to come in at a 5 high for 5. So I usually will use this as a follow-up. After I form with either a Shadow Blade or a Sagaki, I'll follow up, because it'll discard it and I want a momentum, I'll follow it up with an Iron Knuckle. And so it's just a really cheeky way of making sure that it tries to deal damage.
Okay.
We have Sensetsuken Kugeki, which is just momentum gen.
Momentum gen?
Sometimes you want to snap momentum, and there's reasons that I'll show later, but this is a great way in case you absolutely need to get a momentum. You can add a card from your hand to your momentum and then either use it for this or for prototype to really boost, to either discard their hand or boost speeds and damages. Dagger Strike is a 2 of. It's a stun 1, which is great, but the real beautiful thing about this is that it's easy to play, and it enables your next tech attack to be played easier. -2 difficulty.
So it gives the Cannonades and Iron Knuckles, make it easier to play.
Exactly and precisely. So it's a great way to extend, especially mid-game. This is more of a mid-game deck, early to mid-game deck. It's a great way to make sure that you can loop your Cannonades. I have a 1 of as an egg drop. I haven't had to use it, so it's probably be replaced.
Okay. Is that the attacks?
Those are the attacks, and we're gonna burn through because we're getting ready to do the last round. Foundations. Journey West. Super self-explanatory. Great early game. Fantastic early game, especially in multiple copies.
Amazing.
It'll literally shut down your opponent's attack turn, especially if they're an early game deck. It'll save your life, save your bacon for one turn. More defense. Ophidiophobia.
It's basically a super block bet foundation.
Pretty much. It's a great way, if you have a Templar and a dodge, it's a great way you can play dodge up front, lose vitality, and then gain it back with Ophidiophobia. It's a great way to not take damage, great way to not die. Because you're just most likely 99.999 repeating percent of the time going to be discarding an attack from your card pool, your follow-up attacks get much more ferocious with
all free damage.
Yeah, it's free.
Works super well with him.
I'm sorry?
Works super well with Satoshi.
Really does. Hey, one of the best spams, early game spams in the game. It's got a +3 low block, but as a static, whenever you play this as a form or as a block, whenever this card is played, period, your opponent is forced to flip a face-up foundation to its backside.
It's pretty strong. Gets rid of strong cards potentially.
Especially early game, if you have to make them force a decision. This was at a 4 of. I moved it at a 3 of. This deck is still a work in progress. It might actually become a 4 of, but impulsive. Another Shadow Man attack, but it's really great. It's just kind of a repeat of his own ability. Just after an attack is played, either yours or your opponent's, if you have a clogged card pool, you can minus it by 1.
Sweet.
Dust in the Wind is a 3 of. Speed buffs are really big in the meta right now.
So it's basically counter to speed hate.
Counter speed hate, exactly right.
It's really good.
+3 high. More speed hate.
And I realize this in the more spam too.
And more spam, absolutely. The difficulty curve on this when Stormwolf got banned became a lot greater. So you had to adjust, and so by being able to play more cards early by early spam, that's actually better for you in the long run. 2 built for speeds because I'm going to have a foundation. Often I'll be very close to deadlock or at deadlock, and being able to minus myself is fantastic. Also, being able to give all my follow-up attacks to my form a +1 speed is really good. Also checks the 6. This Cage Fighter, we know what this does. I have it as a 2 of, but testing has shown it needs to be at least at a 3 of, if not a full play set. It's just really good. It can either save your bacon by making the kill card unplayable, or you can, if it's early game, what I try to do is I try to minus them early so that they have committed foundations and they have less resources for my backswing.
It's always good.
It is. 2-second chance. Having momentum in Satoshi is actually incredibly good. Not only do we want to discard, we also want to use it for prototype. A strong play on turn 2 or turn 3 is to form with a cannonade, so it's an 8 high for 5, and then if I have momentum, I'll make it an 11 high for 13 or 15, depending upon what I got.
Don't be a 7-hander against you.
Yeah. 1 copy of High Seas Adventure, and this isn't in case multiples happen. You want to get rid of it, just bypass all enhanced step. Your 200X, being able to, in a pinch, -1 your hand, or maybe you want to commit a foundation for that extra speed. That's also a great thing. This gets around the living pendulum, which completely shuts down Satoshi. You're definitely going to want to play it at least as a 1 of, if not a 2 of, and have more on the sideboard. It's just really good. And Death and Earth are super strong symbols right now. Being able to turn off some of their pieces, super critical. Prepare to fight. I can't even remember the card's names. Is an action card. This really gets around action cards that are used to block. So no Templar, no prepare to fight. Really great. And then as a 1 of, it's just spam. It's a block that clears itself. It's easy to play.
Cool.
So that's the deck, and it's a lot of fun to play. And on good days, it wins way more than it loses.
So would you take this to another Nats or World?
Yeah, this is about probably 90% there, but I gotta wait to see what Cowboy Bebop brings. We know what we're losing. right, in January, but we don't know what we're getting. So the meta may shift again. But if there was a Nats or Worlds tomorrow, I'd play this and feel very confident.
Okay, cool. Well, see you again next time with hopefully another deck profile. See you guys.
Thank you, Chris.
Yep.